All right, guys, this one definitely has my attention. Obvious reasons. It's the Orange Monster, right? So it's a these are no longer made from Seiko, so you can't get them anymore. So it's great that Mark and the crew at Island Watch was able to come out with some of their own designs or colorways rather within this design feature. But then of course you have to do the orange one, and that's what we have here. I requested Mark graciously sent it over for me to check it out. I wanted to see one. I briefly checked it out in San Francisco Windup, which if you get a chance to go to the Windup shows, definitely do that. There's Windup Chicago. Uh, what are we at? This is July 12th. Maybe I'll post this video early so you guys can hear this. But there's a Windup show in Chicago this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So what is that? 14th, 15th, 16th, something like that. Mark's going to be there with his crew selling Islander watches, and he'll have these there. And actually, I'll probably return this one back to him there. But great watch. They're $300. They're $299. Can't beat it, right? So because you can't get the other ones, they're just gone, right? That's in the past. So let's zoom in, take a closer look at the overall looks of the watch, and I'll talk about the size of it. It is a little bit larger in a couple dimensions than the my SRP 309. So case size on this, I measure 42.4 millimeter side to side. Lug to lug is 47.5. Thickness, if you don't count the double dome sapphire crystal, it's 13.7. If you do count the crystal, which is slightly proud of the bezel, it's 14.6. 20 millimeter lug width. Now, even the older bracelets from the Seiko Monsters flared out just like this one. So at the flared part, it's 23 mil, and then it tapers back down to 20. So it's kind of a robust bracelet, but that's okay with this watch. Let me zoom back out here. And then you have a simple fold-over clasp, double pusher, 3 micro adjust. And then you have screw pins holding the bracelet together, links. So there's a look at the really nice embossed case back, the Islander logo. I think that adds some thickness because the one on my Seiko is thinner. I'll show them side by side here in a minute. The other big difference, if we're going to compare, is the crown. This crown is plenty easy to grab, and I think it actually sticks out maybe a little bit more, but it doesn't have the knurling. But this one's a little bit of a mismatch, or mismash, rather, of different generations of the Monster, right? So it has the Seiko NH36 movement in it, which is the day-date automatic hackable and windable movement. But then the dial of it is very similar to the first-gen Monster, which had the 7S26 in it. The one that doesn't hack or hand wind. So it's almost like it's a first-gen, but then upgraded with the more modern movement and a sapphire crystal. It's kind of like that, essentially. I think it's a great looking watch. 120 click, obviously. How can I not say that? It's a 120 click bezel. It feels perfect. I mean, if you were to hand me this blindfolded and have me turn this bezel, I would know that it's a Monster. It feels exactly like my Monster bezel. So I love that about it. So if you had a Monster, I think that's the customer for this. Maybe if you had a Monster, you sold it, and you're like, you know what? I really miss that, but I don't want to pay the premium that the Seiko Monsters charge. Just go over to Islander Watch and pick up maybe different colorway. He's got some pretty cool colorways that aren't, necessarily something that would be too close of a tie to, like, say if you had one of these and you don't want to, like, revisit it, try something different. But you can see mine here next to it. It's almost like this is like a high definition version of mine. Mine's all sun faded and just old and kind of scratched and stuff like that. This is brand new. It's fresh. It's clean. So it's a nice little refresh. But you can see there are some differences with the way the bezel cutouts are and the case cutouts, and then the thickness of the case back. There's some subtle differences for sure. But overall, I mean, it's a great offering to pick up if you don't have one and you wanted one, maybe you never had one and you're just now discovering the Seiko monsters and you're like, yikes. They kind of skyrocketed in price. And then, Mark's got you covered. Island Watch. That's what it's all about. Perfect timing with a lot of the models that he came out with. Because it was like right when the prices went up or the models were no longer available. And then poof, here we are, back in action. So there it is. I mean, it feels at home on wrist. It better, right? For me, guys, I'm a monster lover. I'm biased here, right? So I'm not mad at all that Mark did these watches. Quite the opposite, rather. So keep them coming, I say, Mark. Let's give this a quick blast of the UV light. Let's kill the studio lights. Let's check the lume on this thing. Has C3 Superluminova on it. How does it compare to the old monster? They're right there. Same. Used to have to pay, what do they call it? A Seiko lume tax or something like that. That's what micro brands are all about, or enthusiast brands like Islander Watch. They give you what you want at the crazy affordable price, like we used to have with Seiko. Those days are gone. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next vid.